Hey y'all, and welcome back to my channel. In this tutorial, we're going to use some of our new florals that we collaborated with Gracefully Created on to create another floral peekaboo tumbler. I know I have done so many of these in the past, and I have actually done probably this exact design before, but I like showing you different color combinations and the different ways that you can take flowers that might be intended for fall and use them for something summery or springy. So the first thing that we're going to do is take our 24-ounce plump from the Steel Magnolia and add on some glitter glue using a chip brush. Anytime I use the glitter glue from COLORFLEX and I'm applying a thicker cut glitter such as a 0.015 cut like we have here or higher, I like using the chip brush because it really pulls that glitter glue around easily. And it also makes it thick enough that the glue really grabs a hold of your chunkier glitter. And this glitter is one of my favorites to use for peekaboos, and that is Brilliant from PDB Creative Studio. I don't know what it is. I have switched this base color around so many times, and I have always wished I would have used Brilliant. After we have our tumbler completely covered, we're going to roll that up in a piece of paper or parchment paper, flatten the glitter down. I allowed it to dry for 2 hours since we used glitter glue, sealed that with Rust-Oleum matte clear coat, and then gave it a coat of epoxy, sanded after that coat was dry, and then gave it another coat of epoxy so it would be nice and smooth to apply our stencils to. This stencil is from Etsy, and I measured my tumbler after I had put my 2 coats of epoxy on there, and it was 9.65 by 8 inches. So I resized my stencil so it would perfectly fit around my tumbler, and we ended up having a tiny little bit of an overlap, but that's okay, especially since we are adding on the florals. We can cover that right up. After I had my transfer tape on top of my stencil, I pulled back the backing that was on my vinyl just so I can loosen that up before I start to put it onto my tumbler. Cut a little slither of that backing off so that once I had it lined up perfectly, I can press that exposed piece down and then press my stencil down as I'm working the backing off. I do my best to show y'all my spray painting process, but my days start at 4 o'clock in the morning, so my crafting is super early, and I'm usually spray painting in the dark by a spotlight. So these are the 2 spray paints that we used: Summer Pedicure from Color Shot and Sage Green from Rust-Oleum. And I would say over time I have really improved on my ombre skills. This is by far one of the best because that spray paint come out of the cans like holy water and just misted perfectly onto this tumbler, blended together so good. It took me less than a minute to spray paint this one and come back inside. So yes, it does take a little bit of skill and a lot of practice to get your colors to blend well, but you're also dependent on how that spray paint comes out of the cans as well. And the biggest advice I have when trying to spray paint a tumbler, even if you're just doing a single base color, is to hold your can of spray paint back from your tumbler at least a foot and allow the spray paint to mist onto your tumbler. pretty much the same as if you were to hand paint your tumbler. You want to go light on your coats of paint. It helps keep things thin, it dries a lot faster, and helps you blend your colors better as well. So after we allowed that to dry, we removed the stencil, and then I added in some filter from COLORFLEX into my ARTISTRY fast set epoxy and gave this one really thin coat of that epoxy. And I'm really sorry, y'all, I missed adding the first two decals on here. I was just so excited to get these on because I knew that this was coming together so beautifully. So I forgot to hit that record button. I used the largest decal on the sheet for the back side of the tumbler, and on the front side where I would typically put a decal, I put two of these smaller ones and just sort of moved them to one to the left and then one to the right, so there weren't any really large gaps that didn't have florals in it. I did have a little bit of an overhang on the bottom, so to prevent any issues with my epoxy around that bottom rim, I just trimmed off those little elements, and we were ready to add on our final coats of epoxy. Are these florals not so beautiful? I love these so much. And I love that you can also use them for so many different seasons. I think if you put them on a red tumbler, they would even look good for Christmas. So for the first of our two final coats, I added in a little bit more filter to our epoxy so that we can add a little bit of shimmer on top of our florals. I hope that y'all have enjoyed this tutorial. These florals are already available at gracefullycreatedccd.com, and you can use code BBB10 to save 10% off of your order. And don't forget to check out the other new florals that you did not see in this tutorial, because we will have a tutorial very soon with those others as well. And I promise I did make a point to record spray painting a multicolor ombre, and I will be showing that for y'all in an up and coming tutorial. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. As always, all of the materials I have used will be listed in the description with some discount codes. Thank you all so much. That is all for today, and we'll see you next time.